Nice. Yep. No, you're hitting it. That's it. I mean, that's what I had to do when I made my corporation. You had to go to I had to go to Washington State's uh, Secretary of State website and apply through there. Um, and then, like you said, board members. I had to name board members, if there are voting seats or not. All that stuff. So yeah, you're hitting it. And it's not is but there's did we find a couple of companies that did that service or just that one? That's right. That's right. That's right. 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 Well, either way, see, but either way, that corporation is still filed under a state, so it doesn't have any authority to have any authority whatsoever over the United States as a when I say United States, I'm also including the Constitution. Like nobody owns the Constitution, guys. Like that's I, you know, there's no mechanism for it, really. And especially if it's done in secret, especially if it's done without we the people knowing. Now that Transparency Act, it was the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act. It was now with that company. Was it when did it open and start doing those services? Was it 2006 ish? That's interesting. Okay, So this Transparency Act came at in around 2006. Okay, its purpose was to and objectives was to provide transparency and accountability for all these companies. Now, what was before that was nothing. There was nothing before that other than Freedom of Information Act of 1966, um, the Government Performance and Results Act in 1993, Federal Financial Management Improvement Act in 1996. So there were other acts that would help, kind of with the transparency part of these corporations, but the actual act of 2006 put all these safeguards in place. Well, not safeguards, but requirements. Creation of the U.S. spending.gov. So you have to. So it was mandated to establish the publicly accessible website usaspending.gov and reporting requirements, sub-recipient reporting, and data quality. So these agencies must ensure that the information reported is accurate and complete. So you can't just randomly put up numbers and whatnot. So, yep. And lobbying, you know. The data. Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I think there's issues with all of these corporations that needs overhaul and focused on, and is they do things like regulatory capture, where they basically create regulations that they have to operate under. Fannie Mae, for example, the housing market crash, that's debatable, but I mean, um, but yeah, and not to mention, I mean, this is kind of off. Not to mention the banking system, like that's kind of screwy Louie, you know, how that goes. And I have found that we do own our Federal Reserve, but we can talk about that later once you're done here. Sorry, I didn't want to. Yeah, please. Yes. Yep. And look at the what else do they got there? Look at keep going. Oh yeah, you're scrolling now. Anti-human trafficking. Yeah, that's hmm this was kind of the boot. Hey there. Can you guys still hear me? Can't hear you. Something happened. Hang on one
Andy,
second.
can you hear me in the green room?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yeah, because I've got our mic muted in the green room, but we should be able to hear you on Spaces.
Can you hear me on Spaces? Radio
Can
check.
anybody do thumbs up? Can y'all hear Andy on Spaces?
Can you guys hear me?
Thumbs down, no. Thumbs up, yes. Anyone? Can anyone
The
hear me?
space the space totally crashed.
Are you serious?
How do we
Okay, Sheila,
oh
can you hear
she
me?
said she's this thumb down.
Yes, she can hear me.
Okay.
Okay, Andy, take your mic. Turn your mic on.
Okay,
Can
how about
okay,
now?
talk now.
Radio check.
Okay, can y'all hear 17th? Keep your mic open.
Can you guys hear me?
Keep talking.
So it is a wonderful evening. I hope
Can
you
y'all
guys
hear
are
him
having a good
talking?
evening.
Okay, they cannot hear you. You want to go down and I'll bring you back up.
How do I go down? How do you do that?
So you click on you,
Okay.
and it like
Stop
you're gonna,
co-hosting.
yeah. Stop
Switch to
co-hosting.
listening. Okay, got you.
Okay, I'm gonna bring you back up. Where are you? Where'd you go? I can't see you. Oh, there you are. Okay, I'm gonna bring you up. I'm gonna do invite to speak. Sorry, guys. Okay, I sent you an invite to speak,
Got it?
and then I'll make you co-host. Invite to
Check,
co-host.
check.
Okay, I just invited you to co-host.
There we go. Got it.
Got it? Okay, open your mic. Well, it doesn't say you're co-hosting it. Okay, open your mic. Okay, can y'all hear him now?
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hello. I think
Yes,
some.
yeah, we can hear you now. Okay. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Spaces, we love you. Okay, so back to the screen, if you're watching the screen. So you will find, if you go out and you look for British Accreditation Registrar, you will find a lot of pieces that are like, oh yeah, it means this over here, but you won't find any, like, you trace it back, there's no entity that it's attached to. If you look up the actual BAR. Now, if you go and also look up from any like lawyers, legal, anybody else with like a, I don't want to say that with a good reputation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to disparage anyone that is of that belief, but a lot of people have been told that it means that all of our attorneys are taking a test that is being tested and graded, and that ties us to, I don't know, graded by, but that ties us to that they're basically signing on to be attorneys under Britain. And that's just absolutely not true. So the real history of why it's called the bar is because there is a bar in the courtroom that separates the judge and the jury from the people who are just coming in and watching. That bar, that is where it got its name. Do you want to expound on that, Andy?
And and it's under the state too. So can
You
you
got to
guys hear
turn on
me?
your mic.
That's on.
No, it says your mic is on. It says your mic is off on the
Yeah, it's
Spaces.
on. It's something. I'm gonna
Wait,
have to
hold
go.
on.
Okay.
That's
Hello.
weird.
Yeah, let me leave and come back in real quick.
Okay, weird. He's gonna leave and come back in. He's having issues. Anyway,
Yeah, just let them know it's from the state. It's run by the state, the bar
yeah,
exam.
right. It's run by the state, and it's underneath each state's constitution. Right.
Yep.
You cannot practice law in every state.
Okay, I'm
You have
back.
to.
I'm gonna
Are you
request.
back? Okay, let me find you. You changed your picture. Okay, I don't see you.
I requested to speak.
No, you're not there.
That's just weird.
So weird. But I think we can hear you if you guys are listening in on the podcast. But yeah, try again. Why is it not letting you in? We got to have you in here.
I gotta shut down that app. Come back in.
Okay, we're gonna let
So
him come
yeah,
back.
so
Anyway, but nobody can hear you right now, so don't talk yet. I'll talk for a minute. So come back in, and we'll get you back up. So yeah, this so the bar. If you go look and actually find out the reason that you can only practice law in your state is because it comes up underneath the Constitution and the laws of your land, laws of the land of your state. You literally can't practice anywhere else. And has there you are. I see you again. I'm going to invite you to co-host. Somebody doesn't like us, Andy, out there in the ether.
I know, isn't that trippy?
Okay, now you're
How
here.
about now? Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
yeah,
You talk.
that's what I was going to say. Is that the bar exam is state specific. So um, yeah, I mean, I thought this was an awesome find with the AB. What is it? The British. So what was it called again? Right, right, right. Yep, yep. So absolutely. And then if you look at what a municipal corporation is by law, it's a unit of government. I mean, it's a city township. I mean, it explains it pretty clearly. Um, so let me see. Title One, Section One of the United States Code states the determining the meaning of any act of Congress unless the words county, municipality, township, town, city, school district, municipal corporation, or political subdivision include every incorporated place. An incorporated place is where you have a city. Unincorporated is where you don't. Um, So yeah, I mean, I posted some very, some specific laws relating um, to how a government corporation, a regular commercial corporation, is defined, but by law. So yeah, yeah. So I found that when I was searching for the United States, how is the United States defined by law? And there's dozens, and it's specific to the statute that the United States is mentioned in. So, for example, no, it's okay. So, yeah, absolutely. The legal language is often precise and tailored to each of the needs of the objectives of each statute. So, the definition of a term, but yes, wording had to be understandable by the common citizen, but it also had to be precise and tailored to a specific statute that it was being used in. So every statute on the US Code website, you'll see definitions. And it'll say this means that. In this context of this statute, this means that. This means this. So, and I gave a couple examples here on tobacco regulation, for example. So, tobacco regulation, the United States likely encompasses all areas under the federal jurisdiction for regulating tobacco products. Okay, for federal debt collection. Sorry, in the context of the United States, it's defined as a federal corporation, a legal construct facilitating debt collection actions. But the federal corporation in this title says of the United States, as stated in the following. So that's kind of what I put in here. So Title 28, Section 3002, United States means, and so every statute will have a section of definitions, and it'll say exactly that. United States means a federal corporation, B, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States, or an instrumentality of the United States. So um, that's not defining the United States as a corporation. It's of. That means the United States owns it or regulates it or controls it in some way, shape, or form. But then it goes on. So, like Title 18, Crimes and Criminal Procedure, Chapter 1, General Provisions. Criminal law. This definition defines the waters or defines the United States under the waters of the U.S. jurisdiction. So the United States is, it's explained in very, specific ways as it's related to these statutes and laws, and I think that's where the misconception comes from. I think that or maybe our founding fathers assumed we would know that the Constitution is sovereign and that the federal government can't really be owned by anything. It is involved with different federal corporations, though. Can you still hear me? Am I okay? Okay. Okay. Good. So now the federal corporations like the FDIC, the post office, like all that stuff needs to be focused on and overhauled, and it's just it's poorly run. But I find it pretty odd that a lot of energy is being focused on things like us being a corporation. And my question has always been, okay, now what? And I haven't been able to get an answer as to what do we do, which is why I started creating those many things that you can do to fix your government locally, because it starts there, it resonates upward. Actual concepts and planning and techniques that the military uses, that's very effective, that you can help plan in your communities to fixing this stuff. It's not going to get fixed away right away, but anyways, you can right. Well, right. So what you're referring to is English common law, okay? So, and I'm sure a lot of people in here know this, but common law is laws that aren't passed by legislative means. It is decisions from judges, okay? So our founding fathers were English, so they got they were lawyers from England, so they used common law until we gained our independence. And then from then to 1929, I think it was 23 or 29, is when I'm not sure. I just remember that the U.S. Code was published in 1929. I'm dyslexic, so it's 29 or 26, one of the two. And so, yeah, I mean, like you said, then it made it so a code is laws, statutes that's based on topic, and they bundle that together and they put it in a code so it's easier to find, instead of, like you were saying, chronological, which would be insane. So from our independence up till 1929, they were filing laws chronologically, because that's how cases, throughout history. And but we had U.S. compile laws compiling up, so that's they decided to publish a code in 1920. I'll just say 1920s, because I don't want to. Absolutely. Right. Yep. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, people forget there's always a level above the federal government, and that's the Constitution. Now, I agree that it's being violated. Like that there's no question that it's being violated. It's being violated on the human rights level, on a monetary level, on a regulatory level, on so many levels, right? And here we are, divided by theories and ideologies that just either prevents us from engaging in civics, or uh, degrades and diminishes the thought of a constitution. Because I talk to a lot of people, that come into my comments. Sometimes I'm pretty aggressive because I get tired of, like, guys just losing faith in the Constitution. And then when I try and, you know, have some pride about it, I'm like, all of a sudden, deep state, or whatever that supports the banking system and all this. And I don't. I absolutely do not support those things. I'm a old school mentality. I got 8 kids. I have a large family. I teach them the basics on freedom of speech. Everyone has the right to do, to pursue happiness, just like our founding fathers set forth for us. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just a big distraction, and they do it just enough to get us off track on certain targets that we should be targeting, like corporations themselves, or how these lawmakers write laws and stuff. Like those are issues that we really have to start watching, because they're sneaking stuff right underneath our noses, and then they get us to fight about it, and then, well, they get us to fight without even seeing the problem. It's some other random weird problem. So, um, yeah, I mean, w- w- having go ahead. Yes, and they do it all the time. Energy does it. Big energy does it. Big food does it. Big pharmacy does it. They all do it all the time. It's part of their plan for whatever product they're going to have launched with. You know what I mean? Like totally. Right. Right. Well, and what do they spend that money on? Right? They spend the money on TV ads because they know we're watching TV. You know what I mean? Like, right. And the other thing too is you just mentioned, they have bios that they have to submit when they're running for a certain position, right? Not bios, but you know what I mean? What they believe and whatnot. Well, that's what you compare your research with, because if they're lying or they're covering something up that they were a part of and didn't mention it, those are red flags. You can create a red flag system where you can go, okay, this person isn't good. I'm not going to vote for that person for these reasons. And then you spread that knowledge around through social media or your community, depending. And that's this is what you just described is exactly what they want to distract us from, right? And they do it in ways like, hey, you know, don't vote. It's not worth it. Or you know, there's no use trying because it's all corrupt. You can't fix it. They plant those seeds. They degrade our national pride. They degrade the, the purpose of the Constitution. If you really look at all of these narratives, okay, and and look at what they produce. Okay, they produce non-civic engagement. They produce the degradation of our national pride. Look, the United States. When I look at it, when I think about it, I think of the flag, the Constitution, and our system that was unique 200 years ago, 250 years ago. Absolutely unique. Now, did men come in or did human beings come in there and ruin it and kind of stain it and, you know, all this crap? Yeah, that's what happened. Literally, it's not that that the United States itself is the root of all evil. It's the people that are running it, and like you said, Melody, we're the ones that put them there because they're very very savvy. They will go around, bend laws, and they'll do anything they can to gain power in our system. I have, yeah. That's going to be next one of my next articles. Sorry, but is but isn't that like 4 days or something, 5 days or something insane, and they drop it at midnight, right? And they like to keep. This is another thing that I've been noticing is that there's every law in every city, town, federal, state, local is written down. You can go read it and see where it applies to. So I've noticed a lot of this information that comes out is based on not law, right? And so and then you get the arguments of, well, which is law? Is it common? Is it, what is, you know is it, natural law? Is it, it's like, well, it's all of it basically. I mean, common law is used, corporate law is used, criminal law is used, and it's designed that way because it has to be specific to family law. It has to be specific to those that the certain incident or whatever that's occurring. So I think that there's a distraction there. They want to keep you out of the law books. Don't look there. Don't look there. Don't worry about that. And policies too. Like the emergency National Emergency Act. Well, what is that? Well, what's in there? How come? How are national emergencies initiated? Well, there's a process. There's a legal process for that. So those are distracting things that I think happen as well. And also, I mean, it's not just corporations, man. I mean, we got foreign adversaries, politicians. Not all of them, but a lot of them. People that want to make money off of causing this drama. Um, and then there's people that are angry at the system for probably justified reasons, right? Like they've been really torn over by the government. Like who hasn't been torn over? Some worse than others. But that doesn't mean that we should be pulling away of the Constitution and turning and running away from it. We should be pulling ourselves to it and using it to uphold our rights, our that all these laws are based on supposedly. And if it's not based on that, then you can have it challenged. You know, this is something I've been thinking about a lot. How does one challenge a law? Like you got to hire lawyers and shit. Like that's gonna be insane, right? Well, no, you can use that as an initiative to lobby your senator or congressman or whoever is running for that specific spot in office. You can use that and then ride them out, and you know to um, make sure that they're going to follow through with all their running, the things that they ran on. So criminal organizations too, all these entities, if you compound them, uh, is part of I like to call it the great distraction. They want us to forget what our power is. They want to diminish our influence that we have on literally everything, especially if we have a group of people that are pushing a certain initiative. So we have a lot of things working against us. That's basically what I'm trying to say in a nutshell. Right, right. Wait. The police he did that to, or the congregation? Nice. I mean, that's an awesome example of a decentralized system. That's what we are. We're a decentralized, constitutional federal republic. You know, and and the thing is, the sad part is when you don't participate, a decentralized system will decay and start fracturing and falling apart. So that's such an awesome story. Sheriffs are awesome, the good ones. Wasn't there something that you found about? There's a couple of law books. I was trying to find it. The what is it? The disclaimer on those law books, right? Yeah, yeah, right. Well, that goes in the same context as what I put in my article is that each each definition is specific to that statute or law. It's not the common definition. So each law that you go to, you read the definitions and it'll tell you what all these different words mean within that law. So I think that gets confused about too. That's very important, especially when we're trying to define what the United States is, or you know what I mean. It could, if you just took one law and read it and like, oh well, it means this. Well, it really doesn't. It means that within that one statute or law. Right. So, and the other thing too is if I look, man, I am not afraid to be wrong. Okay, like if some say again, go ahead. Yeah. So, I could be writing articles for a month, 2 months, 8 months about a certain thing, and then someone goes, "Hey, man, right here, look." Oh, my bad, and I'll correct myself. Like I am not afraid of being wrong, but I have not seen. I keep asking for stuff, right? But no one seems to want to give it to me. I'm just met with hostility, or you know, um, or that I'm not smart because I'm not on the same mindset as everybody else. That's just baffling to me, because I'm not a mean guy, man. Like I am far from it, and I just want the truth, just like everybody else. And I love my country because I fought for it, and I've carried brothers home for it, and I'm just trying to preserve its values that I think we should hold dear, which I think will fix and correct all the crap that's going on that we see with everything, the banking system, the corporations buying laws, basically. Um, we need to stand firm together with that. And one thing I want to say too is that there's a choke point with all of this, guys. Like the choke point for us is where you have to pass through no matter what, right? The enemy knows it, you know it, so you have to pass through this certain area, and we have a choke point as well, and that is our communities. No matter who our enemies are, no matter what we believe, no matter what happens, that has eventually it's going to pass through that choke point, and we have to prepare for that. So Right, right. So we're releasing Reconstitution series because it's our 1 year anniversary, and it talks about all this shadow government, the king presidency, all the oversteps and overreach that the people within our government is doing. Right, our government system is supposed to be checks and balances, but that's not happening because the individuals that are being put in these positions are not really doing very well. These three other agencies can be done with a stroke of a pen. Done. Like, we just need the right person in the office that'll do that. Yeah, let's open it up and hopefully um, have civil discussion and not, you know, not be attacked for not seeing. All righty, all righty. I mean, yeah, it wasn't too bad actually. Uh, finding finding the information wasn't too bad. But trying to, yeah, 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 it wasn't too bad. Um, but trying to like figure out the nuances, where things applied, and that wasn't too hard. I had a harder time figuring out local government, which absolutely helped with this portion. Um, Looking at how a community is started is really what taught me the most about things. So, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't like it definitely wasn't as difficult as creating procedures for like a nuclear weapon or you know a chemical munition or something like that. Um, but yeah, I was able to find um, the Constitution that was used when the 1871 Act was written. I was actually using it. I didn't know it, but um, yeah. So anyway, right? That isn't it. That one's out of Rhode Island or something, isn't it? Mm. Well, that's interesting. Right, right. So that's interesting. And so I was going to. The only thing I didn't do with that is actually or go to the Rhode Island state um, legislators. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'll dig on that because that's something I didn't. I was thinking in my mind. I need to call this. I wanted to go to the state legislator website and then go to the federal government's or the Congress Library of Congress, and they have like kind of like minutes of meetings and stuff, and kind of verify that. Right, right. Thank you.
Have the right to own a vehicle if it's registered. You have a right. to drive if you have a driver's license. All of these rights that they say are all under the corporation. When you have a right, when you own something that gives you a right, and by the way, I am not a sovereign citizen, I'm an American citizen, but I understand my rights and I understand what's going on in this world. Okay, I know the difference between the two. So when they say you have a right to remain silent, you have a right to an attorney, all this stuff is all based on the corporation. Okay? Now, I am not ready to say I am not a citizen of the United States. I am a sovereign citizen, and your rights mean nothing to me because I am my own entity, and I live in my own country. I am a sovereign citizen, and where I travel is my own country. I'm not about to go there, okay? Because granted, I don't love where I'm at now because our world sucks right now. But as soon as everyone is aware that look at your birth certificate. Our names on our birth certificate are in capital letters. Why is that? It's because I know I'm going into the whole sovereign thing. I don't want to go there. I'm sorry. I'm in a diatribe. I saw your title. It brought up something. I got triggered. Kidding. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is this: is that President Trump, I think, what was it, like 17 or 1871 or whatever? He's President Trump signed something. I forget what order it was that like said that America's bankrupt and that I know I'm going off. I may be wrong. So when I get done landing my plane, jump in and correct me, please, because I'm taking a lot of information I'm taking in my past. But President Trump signed something when he was in office, an executive order that said something about, I think it was Thomas Jefferson was the last president prior to America becoming a corporation. Okay, and President Trump wants to bring America back to Thomas Jefferson so that he is the next president without the incorporation, so that we already know that our gold is brought back from UK, and we need to make America again, not in a corporation owned by China with debt to China. We need to make America again, not any other country. I'm sorry, I'm landing it by.
Well, I totally agree that we're, bankrupt is probably not even, it's probably an understatement. And our debt is pretty crazy. But I don't know, to me, it still doesn't prove that we're incorporated as a nation, or that we're owned by anybody. We owe debts to people, right? But I still, man, I haven't found anything that suggests that the United States, and that includes the Constitution, was incorporated. Um, but everything else, I totally agree with you, man. Like, we got to fix our monetary system. The banking suck. I could go on. Our Constitution being violated on many levels. But yeah,
If I can jump in really quick after what you said, because it triggered something, so that I just want to jump this out there really quick. Okay, and you're absolutely right. You know, what is single? You know how Biden ran on Build Back Better. He was not talking about building back better America. He was talking about building back better everyone that invested in him and his family. Build back Ukraine, build their wall better, back them up. All right, so what I'm trying to get at is this. In order for Biden to build back better, quote unquote, America, you have to destroy completely everything. You have to level it down to the ground. I work in construction, but if you're rebuilding a home, you have to demolish it and remove the foundation in order to rebuild a new foundation and then build it back better. And so we are America. Biden and all of his cohorts want to demolish America, remove the foundation, which is our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, and then build it back better in their own light so that they can remain in control and have control of the entire thing. Boom, I blended it, sorry.
Could I hop in? Are we doing hands or what's the situation?
Yeah, we were doing hands. I think if you let egg the egg I can't see his name. I'm sorry. Egg monkey. If you can have him go first, and then you can go, James.
Thanks, Melody. Thank you. Sorry. Um, I'm just learning about this topic some. I mean, I've been hearing about it for a long time, but the question I had is, if we were to be a corporation, a corporation is always incorporated by a government, right? So what would in this theory that I agree. I mean, you're proving is not true, but if that theory is true, what would the government it's incorporated be? I'm sorry, the government it's incorporated within be. Is that supposed to be like the British Crown or something? I don't know.
That's what I gather. That's what I gather, um, and I think uh, that's how the ownership is.
I had one other question. It's okay to
Go
ask
ahead.
now.
Go ahead, real quick. Go ahead.
This, what's the process for a law going into the U.S. code, and which one is really the law? Is you know what I'm asking?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I mean, it's so federal law is passed through obviously our legislators. Um, it can't violate the Constitution, right? I mean, so but if it does, you have to call it out and you have to challenge it and make it known so that the judicial branch can come and check that quote unquote power. State level is state level and local levels. It's the same thing. You know, if it violates the Constitution, then it's got to be brought to light so that you know it can be ruled on or um, or hopefully taken off the books.
Is the code what federal agencies enact based on the law? I mean, is it sort of the procedure that they develop to implement the law as stated?
Well, what do you mean? Like, give me an example. Like, you mean like the FBI and their practices and policies? Is that what you mean?
No, no. What I mean is, say that the Congress passes a law against something, and then it's added to the U.S. code in some form, as I understand it, to kind of mimic what's being added to the law. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean it's added a code that is specific topic it refers to, right?
Right.
Um,
What it relates to.
right. So yeah, I mean when I looked up the term code, it was just basically statutes and statutes by topic, really. But I haven't really looked. I mean, I know there's a process for for the legislator to write laws, but um, we could do that too. In fact, I don't have my notes in front of me. I've been researching that a little bit. to write a bill, or a bill that turns into law type. Um, but there's a process for that too, and it depends on which state you're in for that. Federally, I'll have to look that up, the exact process.
Thanks. Thanks for the space.
Go ahead, James. Go ahead, bud.
All right, so bear with me for a few minutes. I'm going to walk backwards some of the timeline stuff that you guys missed out on. That's why you're jumping the shark, so to speak. So Britain becomes owned by the Vatican at a treaty of 1213. After a period of 2 years later, the Magna Carta was created in 1215 as a promise by the king giving power and rights to the people. Okay, that happened at that time. Now you go forward. 1302, the Unum Sanctum Pope Boniface VIII creates the world's first and largest trust. 1455, Romanus Pontifex Pope Nicholas V publishes the first testamentary trust. 1481, Artiniai Regis Pope Sixtus IV publishes the second testamentary trust. 1537, the Convocation Pope Paul III publishes the third testamentary trust. What do these trusts do? Everything that affects us today.
What was the trust called again? I'm sorry. What was the trust called again?
Well, I actually have this all on my Twitter feed, so it's all ready for you to digest in a movie format. So it goes on.
No, I was just asking what it's called again.
Oh, well, you have you go back from the promise of the king under the Magna Carta, right? Okay, and that gives some rights to the people. 1302, the Unum, UNAM Sanctum Pope Boniface VIII creates the world's first and largest trust. 1455, Romanus Pontifex Pope Nicholas V publishes the Testamentary Trust.
Testamentary trust, that's what it's called? Okay.
Testamentary Trust. 1481, Artiniai Regis Pope Sixtus IV publishes the second Testamentary Trust. 1537, the Convocation Pope Paul III publishes the third Testamentary Trust. What do these trusts mean? They affect everything, and this is why. The jurisdiction of the land, all resources of the land, people, animals, plants, minerals, natural nature, control was given to the Spanish king and later given to the people of the world. The jurisdiction of air, living and dead souls, spirits, angels, demons, ideas, global in nature, including dead entities known as corporations, dead entities per Black's Law, first dictionary, first edition. These are controlled by the Pope and his appointees. The jurisdiction of the water, sea, vessels, mariners, merchants, ports, shipping, international commerce in nature controlled by British monarchs. Now, this is where they get their authority to create admiralty law. It goes on. Each jurisdiction has its own law form and language. Juris equals law, diction equals words.
What, James? Where are you reading that from? Where did you get this data?
Presentation that I created, dude. You can take the time to research what I put in there. I made it short form because people have an attention span of 8 seconds.
Okay, so I'm not. You don't have to get upset, man. I'm just asking questions here.
I'm not. I'm just. I know.
Well, you kind of sound upset. Man. So I'm just asking where the data.
To read through it,
okay.
Yeah,
well,
it's all stuff that's been compiled over years. I've been in this space now for probably about 6 years, and I'm glad it's starting to get major limelight so people can start understanding what's happened to us. And it has happened, and it's without your consent. Nobody told you. No one's asked you to say okay. It happened hundreds of years ago. And we've been under this falsehood ever since. And it's this Dr. Jen Halper coming to light with some of it. That was a shot across the bow to get people to start asking questions. That's really what that was, because the corporation had already died in 2018. And you had proof of that when Trump walked in front of the Queen. He waited for the Queen to catch up. Every president prior to that always walked behind the Queen, no matter how slow she moved. That was a shock to the world that the United States is no longer part of corporate domination. So what you have to do then is get down to every jurisdiction, right? And then each jurisdiction has its own language. So land, air, and water. Legalese is a language game or type of law words which are used to determine jurisdiction or the type of law that you're ruled by. Land equals self-governed, common law, equity, right? So America was founded on public law, common law, where we were about the land when we were founded here. Air is ecclesiastical. Trusts, so trusts, all the legalese that you think of today trust documents, patents, all that's owned by the document. Waters, admiralty, those are all your contracts. Anytime you contract with anybody, which a cop pulls you over, you don't know it, but you're contracting with them because you are a dead corporate entity unless you change yourself under Title 8, 1101A, 2123. Then the Empire Global Estate Trust has 4 administrative heads, independent city nation states. Rome, corporate headquarters and owner of souls by Roman Curia. Westminster, England, London, is a legal and banking or comptroller of the law and finance headquarters. United States District of Columbia is the headquarters, police, military, and defensive services corporation. United Nations, New York and The Hague, is trade, treaty, negotiations, and human resources and labor welfare services. Their goal, they say, private investment for public advancement. Government pays for military, protects commercial interests, and in turn, funds the government.
Hi guys, I am back. I was totally couldn't hear anything until like 2 minutes ago, so sorry about that.
So
if you go on under New York City's defining federal regulations as the United Nations, Rudolph Giuliani in C-SPAN in front of the world said New York is the capital of the world. And he was correct under 20 CFR Chapter 11, Sub B Part 422.103, B Section 22. The common law of England is known by the various appellations of the right.
you still there?
Yeah, I can't hear you anymore, James.
So
Okay.
so
Go ahead.
so I mean I've been researching this for the past 7 months. It had been 6 years, but definitely not, you know, ignorant or, you know, I haven't found any of this. I've found stuff on people's websites, but I haven't found any of these laws that would that one could go to court and say, "Hey, this is happening. I didn't give it permission." Um, and if I was to argue that in court, I wouldn't have anything to argue with other than what other people say about things. You know, I'm not trying to be condescending or rude. I just this is just personally what I've been thinking about in my mind, right? Like how do we I mean, how do we enforce, how do I get out of this trust, for example? What court do I bring it to? You know? Do I got to go to England? I mean, these are the questions that kind of confuse me about all this.
So I know that Egg, you had your hand up, and I think I don't know if we lost you or dropped you down or whatever. I think you're the first one to have your hand up. If you'd like to go ahead, sir.
I didn't have any other comment.
Oh, you already commented. See, I couldn't hear anybody for a while, so I apologize. I'm probably behind. No problem.
No problem.
Any other hands? Is there any hands that we missed? Or? Oh, Kiwi's requesting. 1 second, Kiwi. Kiwi, go right ahead. It's Kiwi. Hello, good morning.
But I'm not going to stick around for long. So he was giving you a lot of history, and I believe your courts are your streets. If you compare your documents, your founding documents, to your more recent documents, I think this is why you're not seeing it online. Not seeing the original documents online, because then you can make the comparison. People have become complicit and lazy and won't go look at for the documents with their eyes instead of reading it online. That's what they're counting on. So New Zealand is a SEC corporation of America. We went into a SEC corporation in America in 2010 through Merrill Lynch and the Bank of America. We can only become a SEC corporation to America if America is already a corporation.
Do you have Kiwi, do you have some kind of document or
I would
law that was created? Like where
This
where
was this was under
transaction that happened?
John Keys sent New Zealand into this when he was in power in 2010. You should be able to Google it. You know, obviously, might be Wake Up Kiwi, might have some more of the documents on there. So I don't know if it's wakeupkiwi.com. I'll have to go back digging, but it is definitely out there. So, you know, Jones was definitely bringing the punches with the history, which is really important, because this has set the way it's been set. They've also written the Terra Carta, which is a new document in the last couple of years, and this is the plan setting us forward. And this isn't just Britain, this is all these Western nations. Anyone that has had anything to do encompassed with the Magna Carta and that was the groundworks for coming into where we are now. And the Terra Carta is what's taking us through. It's certainly got the plans of the Agenda 2030 all over it. You'll read it yourself, the Terra Carta. I've already been in and dropped a whole lot of links to people tonight privately. I'm not going back to do it, but everyone needs to look at it. And I'll leave it there, but James is an absolute wealth of knowledge. I know not everyone gets on with him because just misinterpretation of words, emotions on the table. I get this, but I like the fact that he is capable of bringing it, and he can rattle off articles better than I've just about heard anyone twice his age. So I'm going to have to give it to James. Kudos, James. You're an absolute wealth of knowledge. I've told you, you're a walking encyclopedia. We love you, dude, for what you do and what you do bring to rooms. I just say keep it up. And if he sees it's on his wall, take the opportunity to go investigate what he's put out there. Thank you. That's all I've got to say.
Thanks, Kiwi. And I want you all to know that I love James Kiwi's mutual friend. So, you know, and I think you said there's a lot of emotion, you know, and I think that's part of our problem is there really shouldn't be any emotion in this because guys, we're all on the same team. Like we're literally wanting our country back. And I think if we take somebody's got the mic open. If we take the emotion out and realize that we're dealing with and talking with friends, we are absolutely wanting to know nothing but the truth and find the truth. We should be taken together. If we see something different than one another, then we go down those rabbit holes together and go, hey, but like we're not enemies. And I think anybody condescending toward that, I'm not saying anybody is here. I was off the mic for a long time. I couldn't hear anybody. But I know in other spaces and other times and on the Twitter, it's so easy to get competitive with one another. And you know, it's kind of like the phenomenon of traffic. Okay, you can be at church and be the nicest person, then you get in traffic and you're fighting traffic and you're like flipping everybody off, right? It's kind of like this, you know, phenomenon when you're behind a keyboard, you don't really see people. But if we were in the same room together, we'd be like, you know, hey, let's, you know, even with coffee, there's a coffee machine over there, we got cookies, and here's lunch, and let's talk about this. And we would be civil and fine with one another. So I think if we all come into these spaces talking like, hey, let me bring my education, my understanding, with the willingness of going, oh, hey, I had that wrong. You know, oh, yeah, I see what that's right. You know, oh, I see how that's connected there. That's how we take this country back into unity. And even if we have some ideas about how things all work together, at the end of the day, how do we change it? We get involved with our local government. It still comes back down to the same exact, how do we change it? How do we change it? Oh, well, we change it by, go become a precinct committee member. Oh, go become the people who write the bills. You don't have to be a precinct member. You don't have to be in the government to write a bill. You just have to know, you can actually go out on Google and learn how to write a bill. Everybody remembers Schoolhouse Rock? You know, that was, you know, it's a funny movie with Jack Black, but they're talking about, hey, write a bill. Y'all can write a bill. Learn how to do it. Write one that's accurate, that's good, that will be taken up. It can't be too partisan, or your legislators are going to take it up. But write it meaningful and find out what needs to change. All this stuff that's going on with these smart cities across America. Oh, by the way, did you know that in California they have sister cities with other cities in other parts of the world? Who's got eyes on that? What stuff are they doing underneath right now while we're fighting about, or we shouldn't be fighting, while we're discussing some other stuff and saying, where did something start? And I know we've got to know history so we don't repeat it. I get that. But I think there's it can't be both ways. There's one truth on how things came down and went down and how they're going, because you can't have two truths for something. Regardless of which truth it is, the answer is still the same. We have to get involved, and we haven't been. To me, that's everything. What are we doing today?
Right. It's so, I mean, I stumbled in all this when I started writing We the People, the series that talked about, local involvement. And, I'll be honest, I've never been slammed so hard in my whole life because I said, hey guys, let's get involved locally. Literally, that's all I've ever said and pushed for. And for the last 8 months, man, people are just like, it's too broken or they're cheap, all this stuff, which is, I get it. I'm just not used to that mentality. It's like, where's the problem? Let's go get it. That's it. Like, that's the problem right there. Okay, let's refine it and figure out who the stakeholders are involved. Let's figure that out and let's like fix it. You know, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to just go and fix it. But it's very hostile, man. Like when I say, hey, man, let's get involved. Even if I don't agree with you that there's, two constitutions or one, it gets hostile. Uh, and so when I teach people and when I mentor the people, I empower them. I don't like, hey, I'm the instructor. You listen to me, right? That doesn't go over well, especially when you have an industry where it's literally the mission statements: initial success or total failure. That's it, right? There's no oh, I almost made it, or you know. So I would recommend that articulation of these things should be in a way that is more compassionate and empowering. And then if people don't agree with you, that's still okay, man. We're still Americans.
And I think too, there's you can definitely go and find like this who Anna is on right Anna's her actual name. She's got like over 4,300 articles. I think she's a self-proclaimed judge in Alaska, and she's a very interesting woman. Talking about some of this stuff, like we've got to be able to, if there's something nefarious going on with Britain, with us, I really, guys, I don't think the avenue is through the Constitution. They've gone around through the banking system, or whatever. I still think that is where we do the bigger dig and find out, what's going on with the banks, what's going on with this cabal. The money is the love of money is the root of all evil, and that's where a lot of this evil comes in. But for what I've heard, and it's a little disturbing to me, is I've actually heard, not from anybody in this room, it's from a specific person who's not in this room. It's okay. I'm just saying it's nobody in this room that has said this. Go ahead and just stop being a citizen. Just become a sovereign national, which, by the way, you are a sovereign national if you were born here. If you were born in America, you are automatically a citizen, whether you get a Social Security number or not. The Social Security number is basically so that you can get more. You don't have to get one. You have it is used for the taxation is theft. Sorry, a lot of theft going on right now. That's another avenue in the working. By the way, your income tax was literally put in place just to pay off the Civil War. So at this point, it's completely theft. But so these are the things that to me, it's like to become. Oh, this person said become a sovereign national, stop being a citizen. If you're born, sorry to tell you, you're automatically a citizen. Now you can decide to not be a citizen and to, say I want to get rid of my American citizenship. I'm not, don't want to be a citizen anywhere. I can just be a national. But people who come over here and they're just nationals, they don't have as many rights as I do as a citizen. They just don't. And look that up, because I think that's harmful rhetoric. And so what I heard this person say is, don't be a citizen, and you really just don't need to vote. But if you are a citizen, go ahead and vote. But if you're not a citizen, you become a national, you can vote. So there's no need to vote. Right there's huge to me that there's something else behind that. Not from anybody in this room, believe me. I do not think a single person in this room is nefarious. I think we are all right. But someone that is just and
Yeah, Melody, you're rubber banding a little bit. I don't think she can hear me. I'll text her. Fine.
hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can now. Go ahead and talk. Say something. We'll see.
Okay, cool.
There you go. There you go.
All right, cool. Yeah. I was just praying up. She's still connecting. It's still spinning. Praying if it doesn't connect here in a sec, we'll reconnect you. You might. Oh, there you go. Go ahead, Brian. Yeah, thank you guys for the space. I'm on my way actually to Walmart because I'm protesting these vaccines are given away here in Chico. Anyway, here's my question. So it's almost like I need your dog to start barking. Like, why do I care? Okay, hold on for a second. So my grassroots advocacy here in Butte County, which is Northern California, Chico's is where I live, is I've been able to get things accomplished both basically outside of the party, to be honest with you. And so a corporation, they aren't. I mean, I've been voting ever since I was 18. I'm 59. And I've gotten things done. And so this is what, and James is I think one of the smartest people on the planet. So I listen to him, but at the same time, I mean, I got to follow rules. I mean, I got a temporary restraining order handed to me in May by my own family because I speak out against my mom being murdered by 4 shots, and they didn't like it. So here I had a sheriff knocking on my door with a temporary restraining order and an order to show up at a court, which I did 3 times. And should I have not have gone? I mean, I have to follow the rules, right? So I just do. So I guess I'm just like, I feel like I'm a good American citizen and I'm doing my civic duty. So is it a corporation or not? I guess I'm just like, I don't know why I would really care. And I know James and Ultra are probably going to be like, yeah, you do. But I guess that's my only question. As just a normal person, sitting here in Chico, trying to do what's right for the country. Yeah, 17th, you want to take that one?
Well, I mean, it's not that we don't care. It's more of probably it doesn't affect you because you're on the local level where you yield most of your power. Now to keep our federal government in check, it's probably important to know if it is potentially or not, because that's going to determine how I would go about changing or steering the federal government in the direction where it best suits my community. Um, so I mean, I totally can hear what you're saying. I mean, and I'm kind of in the same boat here when it relates to okay, um, our banking, all of our banking systems and some of not some, many of the agencies in all 3 branches of government, it, it's massively overstep, in so many ways. Well, whether it's a corporation or not, the question is, how do we change it? That's for me. That's it. Like how? What? Like how are we going to do this? Like who's got a solution? And so that's why I started the series. Is I wanted to try and learn it.
You're kind of breaking up a little bit too. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just wanted to figure out what I can do to provide solutions for myself and for anyone else that's in my community or family, and and and, and affect it on that level because it's the only level that we can affect really, or propagate influence up from, I should say, because you can affect state and national governments, but through influence by the persons you represent or persons that represent you. Um, so I guess I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah, actually I did. And you're the first person that I hear this constant, we're a corporation. I mean, when I go to the county every 2 weeks to the Board of Supervisors to speak to basically lay my grievances at their feet, right, under public comment. I do it every 2 weeks. And they actually have started to listen to a lot of what I said. But there's a flag in there, right? It's got the fringe and the tassels. And one of my dear friends here that goes with me, she brings her own flag without the fringe. She's like, I refuse to pledge allegiance to the corporation. And I'm sitting there like, on my left is this fringe flag. On my right is Diana holding the non-fringe flag. And I'm like, okay, I'll just pledge to both. I mean, I'm just pledging allegiance to America. I'm like, whatever flag you want to fly. And so it's just, I don't know if it's an extremist view, which is fine by me, to each his own. And I was an executive down in Silicon Valley for most of my career, and I was on the board of directors. So I'm like, okay, I could look at solutions like a corporation that I worked for, where I was a shareholder. Okay, so if I'm a shareholder of the United States of America Corporation, so I vote those proxies every year, which I guess I kind of do. But we had a board of directors. Okay, so who is the board of directors over this corporation? If the president's the CEO, who's the board of directors? I guess that's where I'm stuck. Who's the board of directors of our United States of America Corporation?
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so
yeah, and I want to talk about the flag because I went down this rabbit hole too, and I forgot about this, but there are. So people and I was like, oh, that's weird. For like 2 years, I was like, oh, wow, that's weird. No French. That means we're under, wartime. Trump is a wartime president because he's flying this flag with the gold fringe behind it. And then I went looking, and I'm like, oh, wait, Obama had a gold fringe flag. Oh, wait, so did Bush Jr. Oh, and also Clinton. Oh, and there's a picture with Bush Sr. with the gold fringe. Oh, whoops, and also President Carter. Gold fringe, red flag. Oh, and there you go. Ford has and also JFK. Like, literally, I looked it up, and this question was asked to and I put it on Twitter, like asking about this. And there's like an actual ruling body over the flags, and I forget who it is, but they said, yeah, no, it is literally just for kind of pomp and circumstance. It's literally for. Now, there's people saying, okay, well, you can't deface the flag. All right, where are the lawsuits? If anybody's having a problem with this, these gold French flags go all the way back to 1835, y'all. 1835, there was gold fringe around a flag. So if you have a problem with it, if you think that this is stepping on the constitutional or the Bill of Rights, or where it talks about the flag not being disfigured in any way, shape, or form, if you feel like it is, why aren't you filing a lawsuit? And have people filed a lawsuit, and how did that go? Like, somebody could do the dig on it. How did that go? But then again, what does it affect? And also the eagle on top. Again, you can go to my church growing up. When I was a child, my siblings at our church, there is an eagle on top of a gold French flag just hanging out in the church. You can buy these at Hobby Lobby. You can buy these at Dollar General with the gold fringe and the eagle on top, or different. Might have different sconces on top. But literally, if this was illegal, if it is illegal, go file a lawsuit and let that be something that stands on its own. But this is with the gold fringe and the eagle on top, or different. Might have different sconces on top.
Oh, I guess I am. Great, now I can't hear nothing.
This flag was from the coat of arms of George Washington's great-great-grandfather, that when they created the municipality of Washington, which, we say Washington, D.C., remember in the beginning of this show, we talked about how 10 acres was set aside for territory for Washington, D.C., so we could put our capital there because it couldn't be put in the state, which, by the way, they're trying to turn it into a state, which should tell you something. They're trying to turn it into a state for a reason.